Hi, everybody. Hi, on day 1,984 days, I believe. That's 1,984 days. Yeah. So, let's make sure everything is working and you can hear me. Looks like everything's good. 1,984. Okay, so we're going to talk about is Mexico next? Because, of course, President Trump alluded to that in his conversation on Air Force One to the press, and then also on Fox News. On Fox News. So, and of course, in the letters to us, personal letters to us, um, that's exactly corroborating everything that's going on right now. He really does what he says he's going to do. And so you can't take the letters that we received and just think that they are symbolic. They are absolutely powerful and they have a purpose. And everything that President Trump does has a purpose. And we believe him. We believe him because of what just happened with Maduro, what happened with Cesar Duarte. That's not getting the press coverage. And I didn't even put Cesar Duarte as one of the the canaries, and I really need to do that. I need to add another canary and put Cesar Duarte's. There's so many. Because don't forget, after President Trump first got in this time in 2025, 29 cartel leaders, especially over the financial part of the cartel, were arrested and extradited to the United States to sing their tunes, to sing their tunes. So we'll see if Maduro starts singing. I think he will. I think he's going to be singing about Obama and Pelosi and Bush and Biden, and I think they're going to be singing. He's going to be singing too, because uh, he's not in a good place right now. No, he's not in a good place right now at all. And I hope they have security for him everywhere because remember what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, right? Remember what happened. And there is a civil war inside, I believe, inside our system that is going on, right? And you can see that with their actions against President Trump from 2015 when he came down the escalator until till now. So let's get started. I wish I had all the bells and whistles like so many other podcasters, but we're always burning the midnight oil, and um, yeah, and we are really, really busy filing, and those letters to put them together with the evidence. You're going to probably feel the spirit tomorrow, probably tonight already, but tomorrow, because we sent in a whopper today, a really big whopper. That's why we're coming on a little bit late. Um, and it went to, of course, the Texas legislature, and gosh, it went everywhere. And so Richard's name is definitely front and center on all these people's minds. I don't think that they go to sleep without dreaming about Richard Halliday. And for us, it's a sweet dream. For them, I think Richard is haunting them. I think Richard is really haunting those that have participated in the cover up, and those that are the white hats in our government. They get to see the sweet face of Richard. And it's front and center. It's front and center, and I hope you take that in the right way, because This has been going on for 5.5 years, and what happened to our son is absolutely atrocious. And what happened to us is absolutely atrocious. And these people need to pay for the people that participated in the cover up, even our own CAO, Joshua Lyons. I think we've had 6 CAOs because of this case. I don't think anybody has had 6 CAOs. We have because of this asymmetric warfare tactics, this delay, 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 and to divert attention and to hide evidence and information and conduct an asymmetric warfare tactic operation on Richard, on the cover up, on our family. And and that, our CAO, our first CAO, Joshua Lyons, who absolutely concealed very, very important information and leads, um, and engaged in asymmetric warfare tactics against us. Uh, you know, he was an asymmetric warfare uh, tactician, I guess you can say that, officer. And that is Fort Huachuca, y'all. That's connected to Fort Huachuca. Okay. The asymmetric warfare group is TRADOC. It is absolutely connected to Fort Huachuca. And what do um, let's just first say what happened to Richard. I want to get that out in the first just few minutes, first 10 minutes at least, and that is that Richard Halliday was reporting on Fort Bliss's involvement connection with the orchestration with the Walmart mass shooting. Okay, on the Walmart mass shooting. He knew the connections between the military and the Walmart mass shooting, and they're up to no good. They're absolutely up to no good. And that is the number one reason why they went after him so hard. Because he was, of course, a distinguished honor graduate, number one in basic training, and number one in AIT, and um, wanted to go CID, right? Put in for CID. A stellar soldier, absolutely stellar soldier. Do not believe what the smear campaign that's still out there, because they documented a smear campaign, a false smear campaign against Richard. And all of that we've debunked all of that. They've even had to erase the Phil Grade Article 15 that was with maximum punishment from his file. They had to do that because there was no justification for that Article 15. That was a weaponization and abuse of power by his chain of command, because his chain of command was dirty, involved in this cartel trafficking and political hit job on President Trump, using the false narrative that they framed from the Walmart mass shooting. And the Walmart mass shooting, remember, had a bunch of us individuals, all in black, carrying M4s in the mall area. So, and we know that Fort Bliss was involved in and connected to the Walmart mass shooting. We know that. There's pictures and everything, and there's all the evidence, and so that is what they don't want to get out. They have so many cartel and Mormon faction infiltrators that are up to no good in the system, in the IG, in the command structure, in the FBI, in the CIA, in the law enforcement, and in the oversight, right? In the State Commission for Judicial Conduct, and in the state bar, in the, in the AG, in the DA, in the, they have their infiltrators. And that's why people are so frustrated, because the evidence is very, very clear to everybody. They've been doing their research, they've been doing an investigation, they see the evidence, and yet we don't see the results, right? The justice. And so people get frustrated, but you just have a huge justice being done with Maduro's arrest, and of course Cesar Duarte. And people can say all they want about, oh, what about the rule of law and on all of that? Well, the true law is God's law, and then you can have some charters, you can have some uh, state and federal laws for different governments, and you can have man-made, all kinds of man-made treaties and things like that you agree to abide by. And every one of those is a two-way street, right? They're not supposed to be just followed by one party. And this is what happened way back in 1774. If you've ever read the Fairfax County Resolves, the Fairfax County Resolves clearly uh, before 1776 were telling England what they were resolved to do in the colonies, and that England was breaking the charter. And I think the Fairfax County Resolves is, and I'm just didn't even prepare to talk about that. It just came up in my mind because it's so relevant to what is happening today. That, people say the laws are for thee, but not for me, right? And you can see that with the cartel, with the Mormon faction, with their property taxes, with their 501c3s, with their LLCs, with their criminal trafficking involvement, and more and more. We have the organ harvesting. We have the um, uh, flesh peddling through the very corrupt funeral home scandal, the funeral homes scandal, all on the border. And of course, people are talking about these scandals that are up um, in Minnesota, and then they connect the dots with the NGOs. Um, so there's a lot of fraud, a lot of money being fraudulently stolen through all of this. It's very, everything is coming out, and it's coming out so heavily that all of the tricks to cover these scandals up, the scammers up, like Danae Katzen, who was just recently on the most wanted fugitive list, and you can't cover it up anymore. They have to announce it, and I think that was because of us. Um, and I'm not just saying that. I'm just saying because of I'm just letting you in on all of the filings that we have done, and they are driven to at least take some steps, right? So, and of course, that has led to information that Danae Katzen's husband, Jonathan Ambrose, is also has open warrants out for his arrest. He's also a wanted man. So that is really important because he's the one that's connected to 14380A. He is the one that's connected through the LLCs. He's the one that's connected to, well, their families together with KTSM. They are absolutely connected to the cartels. They're absolutely scammers. They're absolutely up to no good, um and the CID and the FBI were covering for them. We're absolutely covering for them. We even paid remember um, Waters, right? The interrogator, Phil Waters, and he even covered for them. Is he some kind of deep state? Is he a Mormon faction member? I think he is. I think he's a Mormon faction member. Um, but maybe I'm wrong. But maybe I'm wrong. Uh, because all of these individuals seem to be connected through this Mormon faction somehow, some way. And it seems that with Charlie Kirk's case, it's looking like that too. These are Mormon faction individuals, and sometimes they just don't even reveal who they really are. Um, we've discovered that too. So what are they being told? What kind of psyops? What kind of asymmetric is Josh Lyons, our CAO, our first one, engaged in asymmetric warfare tactics and with connected to Fort Huachuca? Is he part of this Mormon faction group? Right. That's a really good question. So Richard was reporting on all of this and on the child trafficking because he called multiple times to CPS, and his life was he was forcibly removed out of the barracks and he was taken to the arms room, and they took his life there. The arms room is right there in the same building. It's in the basement. It's a soundproof room, and they took his life there. And then they traffic his body off of Fort Bliss, and all evidence indicates to Plenitude Crematorium. And there's other crematoriums, but we believe it's the Arliano Purchase crematorium, and those are the owner Rosa Maria Purchase Arliano Caron, and her son Raphael and her other son, part of this Arliano Caron scam, and they live in South and Browse in El Paso. Okay, they live very nicely in El Paso. One house is right beside Beto O'Rourke. So um, yeah, yeah, that is very, very telling when you have the she devil that was engaged in the organ harvesting, her family member also working for Beto O'Rourke. And then when you have the likes of Justin Underwood, who was with Felix Valenzuela, putting in or uh, falsified or yeah, uh, falsified evidence, right? Tampered with evidence. When you're placing that in a court case, right? When you're filing it, submitting it in a court case, and it's illegally tampered with, um, evidence. Well, that was Justin Underwood, and Justin Underwood with Felix Valenzuela. His wife, Justin Underwood's wife, was working also for Beto O'Rourke. Um, so this is not a coincidence. The chances are just too slim for this to be, any a coincidence. Um, and all that information is coming out, and when we're at liberty to tell you, we will absolutely do so because it's jaw dropping, absolutely jaw dropping. And I just posted up about about Joshua Lyons, which, is just really emotional to read because, the betrayal by a officer with that much power and to abuse it is it's just overwhelming the emotions, right? Because it's against a U.S. Army soldier, our son, Richard Halliday, absolutely targeting him. And Joshua Lyons kept that all from us. Um, yeah, it's just what a horrible, horrible man. What a horrible, horrible soldier. He needs to be stripped from our uniforms, right? So he cannot have a major or a lieutenant colonel or whatever. He cannot have that. He cannot be over any soldier or any training manual, right? Because of all the manuals that he writes and things, or the asymmetric warfare guidebook. Is that what he writes? I don't know. Yeah, so but we know that he engages in asymmetric warfare tactics, weaponizing his casualty affairs officer role against the Gold Star family. We do know that, and that is absolutely disgusting. That is absolutely atrocious, and yet that's who he is. um so um the other information that we have gotten is that Mexico is next. And I uh, really hesitate to put predictions up just like the one with John Kelly, but that was brought so much pleasure. Even if I was wrong about John Kelly being next, I guess I was wrong because it was Maduro that was next. But I am just waiting for John Kelly to be arrested, y'all, and indicted. I am just waiting because he is up to no good, and he targeted us, right? He um, definitely targeted us. So, yeah, Mexico is next. Why? I wanted to read something. I wanted to read something. See if I can read this. Okay, here we are. It says the irony. Okay, so this is an article by Laura Aboli. It's her official, and I hope I'm saying her name right. Please forgive me if I don't, but I think this is a really brilliant little article. And it says the irony of the situation is that as Trump is accused of imperialism, what he actually is doing is exposing the system that made empire invisible. For decades, countries like Venezuela were not conquered with armies, but bled through architecture, debt structures, humanitarian framework, NGOs, foundations, sanction loopholes, parallel governance systems and financial instruments as so complex that responsibility dissolved into abstraction. Nations rich beyond imagination were not permanently unstable, and not so they could be helped, but so their assets could be acquired cheaply when collapse inevitably happened and followed. That is not sovereignty, it's managed poverty. And this is the crucial distinction that mainstream refuses to engage with. Restoring sovereignty looks aggressive only to those who benefited from its absence. Exactly. Trump is not arguing that Venezuela should belong to the United States. He is arguing that it should not belong to networks that answer to no electorate at all. That is why he frames this not as regime change, but as theft and restitution. This moment is historical because it will expose the lie that South America is poor by nature or by incompetence. It is poor because its instability has been profitable and allowed to be in the hands of these. I'm adding stuff. I shouldn't add stuff. Crisis allowed assets to be bought at pennies on the dollar. Sanctions created scarcity. Aid maintained dependency. Foundations preserved access, and politicians, both foreign and domestic, quietly benefited while the population paid the price. What just happened in Venezuela is Trump exposing and confronting this model of corrupt, invisible imperialism by interrupting the machinery that turns collapse into accusation. And once that hidden machinery begins to collapse, it will not stop with one country. Other nations across South America share the same profile: extraordinary natural wealth, chronic instability, permanent debt entanglement, and international assistance, quote unquote, that somehow never lead to independence. That thank you, bravo, bravo. That is really an absolutely uh, spot on little article. And I did share that, and I hope that everybody reads it and really meditates on it because it goes back to our beginning, our 1776. Really, it goes back to the Fairfax Resolves, what they wanted to do in this country, and how England was exploiting the colonies. And here comes George Washington that built the Navy in 5 years. It was incredible. And said, no, we want sovereignty. We want sovereignty. And, sovereignty, you can make your own mistakes, right? You can make your own mistakes, but you're not going to have this hidden, silent imperialism where they go, oh, you're just incompetent, while they are absolutely stealing everything that you make and do, and putting you in constant debt, and and then doing the psyop on you, right, that this is normal, and that you have to stay unstable, and that you have to stay in poverty, and all of that. So just really, it's amazing what President Trump is doing. He has absolutely broken the mold of this elitist, bureaucratic, criminal network. That's what he has done, and of course, it is internal. He has a lot of mutiny going on, right? And you see that with Fort Huachuca. You see that with Fort Bliss. And Fort Bliss, organized and absolutely was connected to the organized, orchestrated Walmart mass shooting of 2019. And the aftermath of that really shows what their intention was. And that is to form and frame a narrative of like white supremacy, a fake narrative, right, of white supremacy, and plaster it on President Trump and his 2020 campaign to hurt him, right? To hurt his campaign and to tamper with the election. That is very, very clear because Patrick Crusius is like, whatever, you get no way. It's kind of like this Tyler Robinson, no way, no way. It just didn't happen. And you see that now there is real real allegations, real suspicion that some orchestration at Fort Huachuca was going on in the days leading to the death of Charlie Kirk. And and of course we know with the attempts on President Trump's life that that wasn't because they can't get to the bottom of it. And we know that when because we followed those paths. When you look at the evidence screams what Candace Owens is screaming about with the Charlie Kirk case. And we've been, not too many voices have been out there about the attempts on President Trump's life. That is, when they're going after the president of the United States, or going after the people, right? Because he represents our country. And when you follow who was up to that, it is very similar, but I think more severe because he is the president of the United States, and they're covering it up. It is very comparable to what happened to Richard, orchestrated, what happened to the Walmart mass shooting case, orchestrated, what happened in the Charlie Kirk case, which is the evidence is indicating more and more every day that it was orchestrated, right? It was, yeah, it was planned out. And so, this is the same operators with the same motives. They want to preserve what President Trump is absolutely shattering, and that is this imperialistic, elite, bureaucratic grab of theft against the people of so many different countries. So many different countries. And President Trump says Mexico is next because, not because he wants Mexico, because he says Scheinbaum is just a figurehead. She is not leading the country. It is the cartels that are leading the country. And so, and she's so afraid of them, right? She says, no, 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 no help. And clearly she is just a figurehead and not leading the country at all. And the cartels that are doing all of this criminal trafficking is, let's they're at the helm. They're at the helm of Mexico, and they're bringing the ship down. They're bringing beautiful uh, Mexico with its culture and all of its resources, all of its possibilities and future golden age. They're thwarting that and stealing from the people and making them live in absolute terror. And so, President Trump says that Mexico is next. Why? Why does he care about Mexico? Well, because it's very, very close to the United States, and we have the Mormon colonies that are right there in Chihuahua, right, in Mexico, and they are dual citizen, and they have been taking advantage criminally of their situation, and they are up to no good, and their only loyalty is to their Mormon faction. They are not loyal to Mexico, and they're not loyal to the United States. And so they are hurting both countries, and they are very big actors. They're very wealthy. They're very big actors, and it's a common denominator in our son's case, and it's a common denominator in Charlie Kirk's case, and it's a common denominator on the hits against President Trump, the attempts. And it's a common denominator in the Walmart orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. So this is not something that I'm making up. This is not something that I don't have evidence. We have mountains of evidence for this. And Mexico needs to be sovereign. They can't have the Pemex being siphoned, the oil being siphoned. Can you imagine billions of barrels Cesar Paneche, the Attorney General for Chihuahua, was doing? He and his little group, criminal group, was siphoning the oil of Pemex. How dare they? How dare they do that? It's uh, it's such an assault on the people of Mexico. And President Trump is absolutely exposing this kind of theft and fraud and criminal activity. And we're very grateful, very grateful. Um, okay, so Seferini, I don't know if I'm saying that name right. Um, Char- Richard was instrumental in finding and uprooting corruption, the worst being child sexual exploitation and organ harvesting. 2026 is a year of uprooting the corruption found. Thank you. 100%. 100%. Thank you so much for posting that. And also in the weaponizing our military, weaponizing asymmetric warfare group, which is TRADOC, which is Fort Huachuca, which has a very close connection to the intel community there at Fort Bliss and in El Paso. um, Weaponizing our FBI, which is our intel community, weaponizing our all the agencies. Remember, we had all those agencies come for Task Force Find Richard Halliday. The military showed up not even in uniform. There was no op ord. It cost about $80,000, close to $80,000 to get that meeting, just one meeting, right? And look at what they did. No op ord. And it was absolutely infiltrated with bad actors or with very scared people like Sergeant Major Jake Jakovitz, which we nicknamed Shaky Jake. Shaky Jake. And our CAO even commented on that in his post to us. Um, Trying to cover that up, that the command sergeant major was shaking like a leaf in on a tree in the fall time. I mean, he was shaking bad. He was really shaking bad. So, this is the weaponization of our government institutions and agencies and intel community to do against the people and against the Gold Star family, against a whistleblower Richard Halliday, against a whistleblower Judge Roger Rodriguez, against a witness, Glennon Oakley Jr., against a real victim for the stupid decision that they are going to have the barracks be for get this 17 to 25-year olds be co-ed, right? Go, okay, let's put these 17 to 25-year olds in co-ed barracks and well, everything will be really fine. They'll all mind their manners. Yeah, right, right. And then you had real victims like Asia Graham, and then and she didn't get justice. She ended up not being alive anymore, right? We have uh, so many cases like this that we can mention. And what it boils down to is the weaponization of our entrusted agencies and institutions that we entrust, and we give them everything. These generals, we give them everything, and they're just mutinous. They need to be taken out of our beautiful uniforms, and our stars need to be taken off of them. All benefits need to be taken away. And I think that's starting to happen too in this Department of War. They're really starting to look at this stuff. So, yeah, I think Sean Bernabe should be one of the first, and so should Donna Martin. She should absolutely be recalled, because she retired. But, she was provost marshal. She was in charge of the CID and everything. And she absolutely worked for the cartels, absolutely worked for the Mormon faction cartels and the continuance of this imperialism, the secret imperialism that this article talks about. So, thank you so much, everybody, for coming on. It's huge what is happening, uh, uh, and very, very positive. Very positive. Please, hopefully, you'll feel the vibes of our filing that we did today in El Paso. Please let me know if you have felt those vibes in El Paso. Probably should. The vibes will probably move through like a wave tomorrow. And let me know if it hits you. That would be so interesting. Um, God bless you all. Thank you so much. And I'll be back tomorrow, God willing.